if you're willing to admit that people who just smoke weed shouldn't have punishment, then you have to be willing to admit that the people who took the risk to provide the people with the medicine that they wanted, they don't deserve to be punished either. Um, Now, I do understand that, like, even in the cannabis versus what I call like drug dealer universe, like I was very much of a cannabis, like I provided cannabis to people. And in that world, people would come up to me like, oh, well, I can get a kilo of blow for this, or I can get a thing of pills for this. And I would just be like, I don't do that, bro. Like, that's not me. Um, because weed, a lot of times weed was sold in like a one-stop shop type environment. So people were selling more than just weed. Now, in my novel, I legalize all drugs because I think that a lot of the reasons why weed should be legal also apply to all drugs. But people aren't wrong that other drugs are harmful and do not have the medicinal value of cannabis. So there's this like whole stigma around how all drug dealers are like gun carrying, like don't care, like about the people that and anybody who's really been in the cannabis world and bought weed from their friendly, like I was the friendly bartender weed dealer, like that so many people relate to. I'm like, everyone that I've ever sold weed to felt bad that I got arrested. No one's ever been like, oh, you deserve that. It's just like and everybody has that guy. It's almost like the Pineapple Express guy.
Yeah.
Like, that stereotype of the pineapple. Like, does the guy in Pineapple Express really deserve to be stigmatized forever because he just thought weed was cool and he was trying to hook his friends up with weed? And that people know that weed dealer exists, but yet when you hear like felony drug conviction or like drug, like all you were was a drug dealer, there's a stigma attached to it that you must have sold weed in a particular manner that kind of like tends more to this like drug, like you'll sell any drug, you don't care about your community, you carried guns around, you were violent, you wouldn't stop at anything to keep from getting arrested, you probably did other bad, like that's not true. um Getting out of prison, I haven't, like I said, my daughter was a big thing for me, but with owning a moving company and being in that world. Now there's some like Angie's List, they won't accept me for like lead opportunities and things like that. So there's things like that I miss when it comes to that. But for the most part, I've just been able to establish my reputation based on who I am in this world. And I haven't really experienced a lot of the lost like job opportunities, I guess, that people do. But that's just because of me as an individual and the connections that I have and the people that I know that have been successful and helped me put me in this position. When you go to prison, and you see how they like all their rehabilitate, like basically what they're trying to tell you is all you deserve when you get out is to work somewhere for 15, maybe work up to $20 an hour, and you should just be happy with that. And that's like the debt you should pay to society for the rest of your life, is to barely get by. And that's just the way that they view us and try to prepare us. Like there's no entrepreneurial classes. There's no, it's simply like labor. They want guys who get out of prison to go into the labor force and be happy with 15-20 dollars an hour. Uh, it only takes a small group of committed people to change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. So, like, we have the power to unite and create the world that we know is right. And by sharing our stories and being open, um, we just like the energy of the universe really like pulls us all together, and I feel like we're moving towards the change that we're all looking for the reconciliation of the wrongs of the past. And when I wrote my novel, Legalized in the Shoe, I envisioned really like everything that's going on in my life now. And
That's cool. That's
just seeing that, yeah, like if you read it, you'll see that there's a lot of things in the book that are happening, especially in my life, but just as a whole, maybe not as fast as I had hoped, but that's where we're going. And it, we're all gonna find each other as all part of like a bigger plan. But I definitely want to make sure that people feel comfortable, um, that they don't have to act like when you're a felon, when you're go to prison, like even people a lot of times when I go speak or like talk, they'll be like, "Oh, you gotta listen to this guy's story of and how much he like is righting the wrongs of his past." And I'm just like, I never said I did anything wrong. Um, that like there's not like it's not it's a redemption story, but it's not like the same as kind of the people the narrative is pushed sometimes,
okay.
um, because that's not how I feel about it. I feel like it was injustice towards me, but on the other hand, I accept that I did something illegal. I don't accept that it should be illegal, and that's why I fight so hard for the other people that are still inside and getting them home to their families. That's the number one thing. Like the fact that we still got guys like Pedro Moreno serving life and Michael Woods serving life, Parker Coleman serving 60 years, and Edwin Rubis serving 40 years. Like these are real human beings sitting in prison for these amounts of times for weed, like just because they sold weed.